So these are all from nettle, these
Yes,
colours?
and because of the chemical reaction, it creates a different color. Hi, I'm Lynn Batten. I'm a trustee of Forest Friends of Woods and Fields, and I'm standing here with Mick Drury again in this beautiful sunny day up at Chapelton Farm, and today we're going to talk a little bit about nettles. So we've got a beautiful little patch of nettles here.
Well, everybody knows the nettle, for better or for worse, of course. We've all, as children, even as adults potentially, had the experience of a nettle sting, and yeah, it can be quite painful for a while, can't it? But yeah, this is a good clump here, and again, as we were saying for the elder tree, it's representative of enriched ground, so there's a lot of nitrogen here in the soils, and it's possibly a site of an old dung heap, or certainly a place where the stock would have gathered in the past.
So is it true that dock leaves have got like a natural antidote against nettle stings?
Yes, that's true. So often we'll find that the docks will grow in the same kind of area because they're both what would be called weedy species. And if we were to just wander around here, I'm sure we'd find some docks. So if we were stung, yes, if you crush the dock leaf and put it onto the sting, it does relieve it to some extent. The other famous phrase, of course, is about grasping the nettle. I don't know if you have a similar phrase in the Netherlands, but of course if you grab it quite hard, you can actually, well, you crush the little stinging hairs, and you don't get stung. And there are some people who can roll these leaves in a certain way and then eat them fresh.
Ooh.
I've never tried that. Do you want to try?
I'm okay, thank you.
But yes, I think I'm going to stick to nettle tea and nettle soup.
Not just raw.
Not raw nettle. And you can see that the nettle's actually in flower at the moment. They're not very distinctive flowers, but it is a flowering plant, and very good for wildlife actually. And we think that there's maybe about 40 different species of insect that use the nettle in various ways, and of course very, very good for our health as well. Have you tried the nettle tea or making nettle soup?
I have not tried nettle tea. I've had nettle soup once. That a friend of mine made. So basically what he did, he just harvested some of the young leaves of the nettles and then put potatoes in it as well. Yeah. Mushed it all up with some salt, and then you've got nettle soup. And it was really tasty actually. It was surprising how incredibly good it was.
Wow, very rich in iron and vitamins as well, so very good for you. And I tend to harvest some and dry the leaves and keep them and then in a jar for tea, and hopefully it will last over the winter. And again, it's a real tonic, particularly in the winter months.
Oh, nice.
Very good for you.
Right. Yeah. And for plants as well, I hear, right?
Yes, you're a great gardener, Lynn, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so as Mick said, there's a lot of nitrogen in this soil, and as the nettle really likes nitrogen, it takes it all up and stores it in the leaves. So what you basically do is you would cut down, or you would pull out some of the nettles, and you would have like a big barrel batch of nettles. It doesn't matter if the stem or the leaf or the flowers, you just sort of chuck it all in. Yeah. You put a little bit of water in the bottom, and then you press it down with like a brick or I don't know, anything you can find, really. Yeah. So it like really presses down, and you basically leave it for 3 weeks to ferment. And as the juices come out, and with the water that's already in there, it creates this sort of amazing natural nitrogen fertilizer that is liquid. And if you are growing something that's like a heavy feeder, like a courgette or tomatoes, you can just dilute it a little bit. I would dilute it because it's quite strong. and pour it in your
Oh,
soil,
wow,
and then it's
okay.
like really nitrogen-rich soil that really benefits whatever it is that you're growing.
That sounds great. So nettle tea for the plants as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
With
brilliant.
a small warning is that after 3 weeks, you can imagine that it smells quite bad.
Yes, yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not a good smell.
Right. And in the past as well, nettles were used as well as a food, and it was an important foodstuff at times of famine or in times of war. But also the stems were used a lot for cordage, for making string,
Really?
and even for weaving in the past. Again, a different use that we've forgotten about these days.
Yeah.
And I think you've got something else to show us. Is
Yeah,
that right? To do with,
so, as you know, I do a lot of spinning, wool spinning, and I was at Rafford the other day with my wool spinning teachers at Naturally Useful, and
Ah, yeah.
they gave me some of their nettle dyed wool. So I'm just
Oh.
going to grab that.
right.
So what we have here
Wow.
is some nettle dyed wool. So you can use it as a dye. I mean, you can use most natural things as dyes, to be honest.
So these
some-
are all from nettle. These
Yes,
colours.
yeah. So
Beautiful
they're all
colours.
different because so this one is just sort of straight up nettle,
Yep.
and then I think this one is the one that's mixed in with a little bit of copper, and because of the chemical reaction, it creates a different color.
Okay.
As well as this one, which is with iron.
Iron. Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What a
So they
beautiful
create
shades
these.
of green. So that's how it started off.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see really clearly here. You've got like super white wool,
Yeah.
and then this is after a couple of dye baths.
Yeah.
And you get like all these different colors.
Oh, I really like those. So, are you going to be knitting a jumper then sometime soon?
Yeah, would you like a nettle dyed jumper?
I would. I'd love one.
So that's all that we have to say today about nettles, and tune in for next time when we see what else we find on the fields up above Sankar in Forest.